Hi, lovely ones. Thank you for joining me today. Today, I'm going to go over how I incorporate a Galactic Heritage card reading in my Galactic astrology readings. So, oftentimes, I will pull for confirmation some cards from the Galactic Heritage deck to go over a little bit about the client's energy, and you will be amazed at the parallels that I find between the Galactic reading and the the galactic astrology reading and the card reading. So I'm going to be talking about a reading I just had with a client named Hans. So when I was tuning into Hans's chart, I realized that he did not have many past lives in the 3D human realm like we are here on Earth. So I go all the way back, even sometimes before the astrology chart, to where you were when you first fragmented from source, who you were, what you were doing as a higher being, not in 3D form. So I really felt that he was coming in with an elemental kind of energy and also a bit of the blueprinter energies. So if you check out this amazing website by Aaron Lynn, Akashic Record Readings by Aaron Lynn, who are the blueprinter souls, basically goes over all the different kinds of blueprinters. You can read over, see if it resonates with you. It really did resonate with me. So I was finding that he was coming in with this coordinator energy, and the coordinator energy is kind of like the project manager of the earth realm creation in this physical form. When I got more into his chart and where his 3D lives started happening, I was tuning into Orion. So he has in his galactic chart Neptune opposing Orion, and Neptune can represent some of your most ancient lives in the galaxy, but he has that opposition with Orion. The opposition can mean that it's harder in this life now that he's living for him to feel some of this energy, and he has to really work on some healing first before he can do that. Um, but I was pulling in on this Orion origin here in the 3D form. And the blueprinter coordinators, through some of my research and what I was tuning in on myself intuitively, they often incarnate during times of upheaval, chaos, change. So he's here now on Earth during these similar times, and he was in Orion. And if anybody knows anything about Orion, you know that Orion was a place of polarity. There were so many different passionate beings who thought that their way was the way, and they battled for eons. It was worse than the worst case scenario here on Earth. So it took a really long time to heal from that karma. And sometimes souls even come here because they're still healing their own karmic journey or their family's ancestral lineage from the karmic line of Orion. So I was really picking up a lot on the polarity and the upheaval that he's facing in this life in relation to those Orion origins and this blueprinter energy being a soul that chooses to come here during those times. A little bit more background before I get into his card reading. I also picked up on Regulus as a very important galactic point for him. It was coming in more midway via his Mars and Jupiter conjunction, and also conjunct the ascendant and the North Node. So I know it's really relevant to his mission now, being that it is conjunct his North Node in his birth chart. But it's more relevant to state that with his chart is not parallel. It's not like first you started here and then you went there. Some of these energies are all working in a circle at the same time. So with the Regulus connection, he's bringing in this warrior archetype, an angelic soul, and the elemental connection, which was the same connection that I felt in the beginning with the blueprinter. So a lot of the Regulus souls are here to heal their bloodline. They had past lives as royalty, warriors. It all relates to what we were picking up to with the coordinator archetype. So now that I've given you a little bit of background on him, I'd like to talk about his reading, the Galactic Heritage card reading. Here we have Hans's card spread. Here we have the first card in his spread, card 20, the power of sound from Vegan's past. And it's important to know that the Vegans were the creators of vegan mysticism and a lot of the healing arts that we find here on Earth today and also across the galaxy. So the power of sound means that someone can use the healing powers of sound, vibration, mantras, music, incantations, sound singing bowls, to really do a lot of powerful healing for themselves and others. And it's interesting because Hans shared with me that for a while he was using affirmations to heal some of his past life karma that he was carrying with him in this lifetime. So that really made a lot of sense. And I also feel that he comes to Earth with this sounds healing power and ability from his lives in Orion, because a lot of the Orions come from the Vegan lineage. So this power of sound healing is really important for Hans. Now we're moving on to the next card in the deck, card 78, Seeing the One. This is Earth's future. This shows potential for Hans in moving into the energy of this card and being able to see the one and the one source that we all come from in himself and others. But being that in his spread, he has a lot of past cards. It means that currently right now he could still be living through some of the past timelines in these cards that are showing up. So it seems to be something that he's still working on, and perhaps something that he's working on from his Orion lineage is overcoming polarity and seeing his view as being more right than another's, or trying to change another's view to match his. The key lies in realizing that there is paradox in truth, and that two truths can be true at the same time, and that it's okay to disagree with someone else and not get angry or try to teach anyone a better way. Just accept the differences and allow them to exist. This next card perfectly fits in with what I was just saying about needing to heal the past timelines. So when we talk about the masculine principle from the Lyran past, the Lyrans were the forefathers in our galaxy. They were the first beings to come into existence in 3D in the galaxy and be humans, away from source and spirit. So they were kind of like the pioneers. They had a very, what we would consider, masculine presence. They were the warriors, the pioneers. They were expansive. They were going out and exploring, building. They were the protectors of their land and of their people. And they carry a lot of that energy, and with that it came a lot of their way they thought their way was the best way of doing things. And this really ties in with the last card of overcoming differences, knowing that there are many ways to do things, and just kind of healing that masculine energy. And the masculine energy can even show up in being overly spiritual or overly dedicated and rigid with a meditation plan or a spiritual practice, like I must wake up every day at 5 and meditate for an hour, and I'm never allowed to have a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, and I have to do all these things to find the highest path. It's amazing how these cards just blend right into each other. The next card is 22, Homesickness, Vega past. Again, the Vegans were part of that original lineage that split off from the Lyran forefathers, but they had a more spiritual way of doing things, about going inward, meditating, and practicing mysticism, which I talked about in the other card, the Vegan mysticism, which even started some of our religions here on Earth. But again, they became very masculine in the way they were doing this. But it was all for this feeling of homesickness. It was almost like a battle between these two groups of people, the Lyrans and the Vegans, the ones who were warriors and expansive and the ones who were more inward and spiritual. They both thought they had the best way of finding home and getting back to source, or the feeling of oneness. But the key here with this card is to embrace physical reality here and now before you return home, because there's a lesson to be learned from this existence, as hard as it can be. Now we're moving into the next card in the deck, card 66, Sharing Cultural Ideals. This is the Palladian present time stream. Now the Palladians are a higher level of density or frequency than we are, but they're still a younger species in terms of where their evolution is. So the present time stream, they're starting to share cultural ideals and beliefs. And this really is talking about coming from a place of neutrality and love, but not from that place of being right or having to prove yourself as your way being the way, and not forcefully putting your opinion on anybody else's. And this is especially important to a new civilization expanding out into their galactic awareness, as Earth will one day. And as we are right now on Earth, we're starting to realize that we're not the only ones. And it's important to realize that when we meet these other beings, we need to be prepared that they're going to be very different from us, and the way they act is very different from how we do. So again, we need to find that place of neutrality within. The next card is card 77, being the mentors. This is Earth's future. This really speaks about a time in the future when Earth will be more evolved and we will be able to reach out to other developing planets across the galaxy and perhaps mentor them. But right now, in this present time, what it most likely means is that this client is being mentored from a spirit guide or a higher self. I really was getting that it's a version of his higher self who is a spirit guide from Orion, who is asking him to open up to his or her presence so that more of this mentorship can be allowed to come through. And then again, one day he will step into this role of the mentor in the future, which is already happening right now. It's mind-blowing. The last card in the spread is card 88, Balanced Relationships, and this comes from the Pleiadian Future Timeline. And this is talking to the lessons that we learn through our relationships, the tough lessons that come from a place of lack within ourselves, where we are looking for someone else to fill that for us, and that's not possible. You really have to take a look at your own shadow, notice where your own limiting beliefs are holding you back, and see when you get angry at someone else for something they've done, see how that's a reflection of yourself. And this card is also a congratulations to Hans, because I also got the feeling that he's been able to do a lot of this, and this forgiveness of himself and others when it comes to the realm of relationships, and this is going to help him evolve. And if he hasn't been doing this, this will be definitely something that'll be coming soon. That'll be a big step for him. All right, that concludes my Galactic Heritage card reading for Hans, and I hope you enjoy this and can see the parallel between this and the Galactic Astrology reading. Peace out.